Hello everybody, welcome back to Wappleville, and welcome back to Dolguldur, because I never actually did get a chance to paint the Necromancer. We did the 9, and actually I'm just looking for them right here, just want to find them for you here. Boy, I actually really scroll down, there we go. So there's the 9, obviously, of Dolguldur. So again, we're going to use a warmer green over here. I just thought that might be a little bit more appropriate. Again, we've got just a little hint of a reference there. I do actually have that Windsor green out on the palette, but don't. I'm hoping that ends up being a little bit warmer than, well, say. So this green here, even that's the Salo green, and you can tell it's just got a little bit of coolness to it. I want this to be a little bit on the warmer side. Well, I don't think that Windsor Green was very much a staining color when we tried it, so I'm going to maybe team that up with a little of the Perlene Black, and we'll see how that goes. And we're going to start out here on the fringes, so to speak, and then we're actually going to work some of our, just kind of like, where's our Banshees? I got one, there it is. So think almost a little bit more like this. So that's kind of what we're after. So that's why I'm going to actually set that thing out here so that I have that as a wee bit of a reference for myself. Now we're just going to... Boy, that little bit of Windsor green does actually kind of warm up the Perlene Black. That's just another dark green. Well, again, no idea how that's really going to work out, but we're gonna find out. That's for sure. We're going to find out one way or another. Could work out fantastic, maybe less, maybe less fantastic. Either way, it's easy enough to correct and to fix, so I'm not going to worry about it. That's for sure. Now, I think you'll notice too. There's minimal amounts of thinner in this, as in next to none. Kind of a bit of strategery there, for sure. Don't want a whole bunch of thinner in this right now. So Vendetta, well, let's see. It's still a couple of hours to a happy Friday here, but hopefully other folks having themselves a decent Friday morning. All right, so now we're gonna wipe some of this here away. Just gonna grab me some makeup sponges. Hey there, Lamines. Nice to see ya. So yeah, Lamines, I don't know if you just heard the story. I'll send you the pictures of the dumpster too. That's kind of another... In many ways, it's a step forward for the basement too, because half of that, well, at least 45% of that was kind of me just getting some of the boxes and other things out of the basement, out of the way. Is there an AD Creations in the house? Hey there. So Blades and AD, if you guys want to share any links to your stuff that you guys have been streaming and working on, oh, that would be fantastic. Go ahead and do that. So, AD Creations, nice to see you. So, yeah, Lamines, hoping that, well, let's see. It's not going to be this weekend, that's for sure, but maybe next week to try and construct that new printing area, but then also maybe get the light in on the Mono X and just see, does that actually matter? So, again, just taking some of this away with the makeup sponges there. You can see that Perlene Black is not the most staining color ever, right? Now, let's go to not Perlene Black, but Mars Black. This I can throw a little more thinner in because now we're talking about bulletin board cork. And that's going to absorb this much quicker. So, yeah, Lamines, at some point, and then, who knows, maybe a couple of weeks from now, hopefully you won't be getting a message saying, hey man, can you help me figure out this stupid firmware thing for this Mono X? I mean, there's no point in even bothering right now because it's too warm for any printing stuff, so that would have kind of shut things down anyway. So I'll take that opportunity to construct the new area anyways, although I still am tempted to actually bring that stuff up here in the summertime. I might still do that, just to be able to continue with the printing. Thanks, Lamines. Appreciate that. It's one of those things where I would really like to just be able to not have to deal with firmware. Of course, I don't know if firmware is still a thing, but would you say, Luminous, almost every printer that's going to be coming out would be self-leveling? Because I know that's really, that's kind of getting to be a thing, though, the self-leveling printers. So maybe it's not the worst thing in the world that they did not have. Well, there was the sale on the Mono X, and then it went away just before I could actually get it. That was on, what, July 12th or whatever? Needless to say, there was other crazy stuff going on here, so I wasn't quite able to dive in on that. Hey there, Wolfenstein. Happy Thursday for right now. Now, yeah, AD, this is way too warm because, again, there's no air conditioning in the basement. It's easy for me to make it warmer in the wintertime. That's not a problem. But, yeah, when it gets to be super, super hot in the summer, it's just way too hot down there. So, Wolfenstein, nice to see you again. Yeah, 80 some odd degrees or whatever, that's not really... Printers don't like that. They kind of like that right in the middle, that 72 to 75. It also depends on the resin that you're using too. So we've got a decent amount of that taken away. Now it's about we just start hitting some of our light stuff here. So same thing when it's too cold. You're just going to get failed prints. And failed prints, that is a... All that is wasted resin, wasted time. We don't want that, that's for sure. Hey, Tina, nice to see you. Nice to see you there, Tina. Hope that you're doing really well. Again, we're just... I did all the Nazgul 9 on stream. Well, I think we saved a couple for some videos. Ooh, that might be a little too much. Let me a little tiny bit of thinner into that. Wolfen, that's very cool. That's fantastic. Hopefully that's been fun. Wasn't sure if you're going to try an oak leaf camo or P dot or something like that. Because those are always really, really fun. Yeah, okay, there you are. Try and get me a little bit of the Indian yellow. Ah, that's what we needed there. A little bit of the Indian yellow into that too. So yeah, Wolfenstein, that'd be great if you could do that for sure. Where's the... Ah, there's the floral green. It's like, where the heck did that go? Yeah, let's get some more of that light here as well. And then we're just going to get some of this junk off of the brush. Wolfenstein, again, glad you're able to do that. So we'll definitely be going brighter than this. Again, what I just had it. Here it is. So it's going to be a little bit more like what we did with our Banshees there. So that kind of inner glow. And of course you can see the references down on the lower portion of the screen right there. Yeah, here, let me get a little more of this out here too. Yeah, letting that mix with the pre-glaze as well. Because, well, why not? Why not do that? I am experimenting a little bit with the Windsor Green Grand Oracle. Just a little bit of a test here. It's definitely not a staining color, that's for sure. So Grand Oracle, I haven't actually looked at Medbury. Well, it's another historicals, right? And of course, Kerr's look is going to be, well, they're going to be doing more Dale and Dwarves, right? Here, let me get a little bit more of the, maybe the light up there. I'm going to shove some of this down in here just because. Now I will be changing a little bit of the color temperature on some of this stuff as well. Blending brush. Yeah, I'll just use this as a blending brush. So of course, now again, we've got the brilliant yellow pale that's in there. We've got some of the radiant yellow. There's a little bit of fluorescent yellow in some of the mixes there. None of this is it's never just a straight up regular mix or anything like that. There's always a little bit of something, and of course the pre-glaze is always going to have something to say. So Grand Oracle, yeah, I even did some color charts because that was a color theory and oils episode with that Eldfall Chronicles miniature. So yeah, Wolfenstein, definitely Lord of the Rings with the Necromancer of Dol Guldur. A little bit of Sauron before he became Sauron again. Because supposed to be doing a basically sort of another retraining game against the 9 Nazgul and the Necromancer here. And of course, well, it's kind of glowy right now, isn't it? Just a wee bit glowy, and that's what we were looking for, obviously. So Denethor, great to see you back. I hope that well, everybody's having themselves a good Friday morning, or as the case might be, Friday afternoon. It'll be very early Friday afternoon, but for folks out in Australia, it's definitely got to be at least got to be past noon. That's for sure. Yeah, so this is the Necromancer of Dol Guldur. Now let's keep going in. I'm going to just keep doing my little blendy brush thing right here. A little bit more of that. There we go. So yeah, again, Blades, if you wanted to share any of your stuff in the chat there, same thing, AD. If you want to share any of your links in the chat there, that'd be great. Oh, so that's in this case, it's the cranberry ginger ale and the rum. I do have. Oh, that's right. Well, when I get to the store tomorrow, I have to see if they've got my blackberry ginger ale that I like so much. That's a major favorite of mine to mix with the rum. So we'll have to look for that tomorrow. I might go. You know what? Perline Black. Actually, Grand Oracle, there has been a little bit of that Prussian green being used here. It does. I used it in combo with the Perline Black. So maybe this is something that I'll try to play with on a video here or something like that. Hey, Orbiting Thunder, how you doing? Nice to see you. Now again, yeah, I will let the edges of this get a little smidge darker, but maybe more of the here floral green and some of the Prussian green. Do I want to throw a little bit more of that down here? More of that Prussian green maybe, and oh, Indian yellow. Well, there you go. There you go. That should be interesting. Now, let me take a look-see at this. Wow, that's about the same. So that was the phthalo green and the Indian yellow for the pre-glaze right there. So nice to see you there, Orbiting Thunder. Well, happy Thursday for folks like me, where it's still Thursday. But then also, again, for folks overseas, happy Friday to you. A little bit more on my dark over here. Well, we'll come back and do a little bit more of our lighter stuff on these, on some of our tiles here. And again, you'll be able to see it's the same basing that I used on the Nazgul right there. That's the Roman theme texture roller. Again, that is from Green Stuff World. Here, let me get some of this paint off of the brush here so we can do a little bit of our blending with that. And of course, not even a half an hour. And this is on a 40 mil base, so this is not exactly the smallest thing in the history of the world either. So again, like always, don't blink. It happens quick. Where's my Magna Guard here? So, very different than the magenta glow that we were doing on these lads over here. But let me take a look at this and see. Oh, look at that. Temperature difference. Cooler greens there. That's the phthalo green. So, well, Grand Oracle, I think that pretty much determines it right there. So a little bit of Indian yellow, and I would say some of that Windsor green. So definitely something we'll have to play around with for sure on some videos there, no doubt about it. In fact, I might actually have just the very thing. It would be a Loot Studios 72 mil sculpt. Yeah, that might just be the thing to do. Alright, now I'm just waiting for some of this to set right here so that we can go back in, add some of the darks over the top of that. How's about some just regular, perhaps ambient type light down here? That's just a radiant violet. Some of our blue there, maybe it does need well, radiant gray, because we're throwing a little bit of our green in there too. Just a maybe a little bit more of the radiant green there. All right. Boy, look at the pre-glaze getting on that brush right there. All right, that's okay. Now, what we're going to do up here is take maybe this and Indian yellow, Terra Rosa, and then a little bit of this. And then we're going to mess around with this chapeau right here. Just a little bit of dry, brushy stuff. That's all. Nothing crazy. Start to get that down on the other parts of the helmet here, or whatever. The crown, mask-ish, whatever. Not going to mess with that yet. That would just be, oh. So this actually should have a little bit more of our gold on there. I didn't realize they have that also as a metal right there. Going to take maybe this and plain black and some of our Indian yellow, or, well, there we go. That's some of our pre-glazed Perlane black and our green there. That's the Windsor, no, sorry, not the Windsor green. That is the Prussian green. So Denethor, I finished off the original mural there of Bag N. The next up will be the East Gate of Moria, Speak Friend and Enter, of course. I still have to locate that glow-in-the-dark pigment powder from Green Stuff World to see if I can actually, just like I did with everything else, mix it with the mix it with the linseed oil, and then create some kind of an oil paint out of it. So Grand Oracle, that Indian yellow. You don't snooze on that Indian yellow, right? That is some powerful stuff. So yeah, Denethor's gotta get the glow in the dark stuff there, so that we can try to when you turn out the lights, then all the runes and the lettering and the imagery and all that kind of stuff, that all starts to basically shine. So the two highest saturated, but the two most staining colors that we're going to have, well, that's going to be Indian yellow and Egyptian violet. Those are the, as we call them, super stainers. That's for sure. Those things have some extreme staining potency. Thanks, Orbiting Thunder. Appreciate that. Okay, there we go. Not sure if I'm going to want that much of the lake green there. We can always change that around. But for right now, I think I will leave that there. Remember, I still have Brilliant Yellow Pale. I could even use some Fast Matte White in there, too. Get a little bit more of the light there. I think now I'm going to come back with some of my dark here, and that would be some of the floral green. That's going to be interesting there. That's just the fluorescent green and that's the Prussian green, floral green. That's a combination I don't think I've really used yet. Curious to see what that does. Over here. No, that's it. It's like, wow, that was awful dull there. Hey there, Green Fairy Studios. Look at this. We have a green fairy or a green necromancer for you. So Green Fairy Studios, great to see you again. Well, happy Thursday, because here it's still Thursday. So yeah, I did another video last night. This will be uploaded after the stream here. This is a color theory in oils. Believe it or not, it was about grays. It was about warm grays, cool grays. First time really that I ever had. Well, I did a color chart. Unfortunately, I can't reach that from here, but it was indigo, basically 3 lines of indigo, Mars black, and Van Dyke brown, all right next to each other. Because normally we don't have something quite like that, do we? So Green Fairy Stew is great to see it. And of course, for folks that are going to Gen Con, if you would please stop by the Armored Wolf Productions booth 2707. Be there. Get lots of stuff from Armored Wolf, of course. Lots and lots of stuff. The dice bags, of course. We talk about those all the time, but plenty of other fantastic leatherworked goods. So again, if you're going to Gen Con, be sure to stop by. Say hi to Armored Wolf Productions, booth 2707. More, you know what? I'm fine. I'm going to hit a little bit of the light over here too. Why not? I'll do that. So Green Fairy, hopefully things have been going okay there. Maybe you've had a chance to get a decent amount of miniature painting. I know a lot of folks have just had a lot of stuff going on, so they haven't been able to necessarily do as much with the miniature painting in the last few months. Here, we'll lighten this up too, yeah. Now, this is an old metal miniature here from GW, so it is... it's got some issues. Very old metal miniature. That's for sure. We do need to catch some light there, though. Doing the tour guide thing. That's too bad you can't tour guide them maybe through a miniature production facility. There you go. See, I'll take you on a tour. It'll just be miniatures, or the Gamlin factory or something like that. Yeah, so let's do a tour. Let's go to an oil paint factory. See how that's all done. See what their magical little secrets are. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of wacky things going on with this particular miniature here. I also do have, well, I did have one before, but the basically the prison master of Dogel. Do I have him as well? We're going to try and get him painted up before. I think it would be Wednesday or something like that is the next potential day for that. Now, yeah, Green Fairy would be really wild to see that, wouldn't it? I mean, of course, the Williamsburg factory, but we want to see that Gamlin factory just to see where they keep all the little fairies for all the the fairy dust that goes into the radiant colors. So yeah, I think that would be like in some secret back room there. So again, we're going to let this mix with what's there. And by the way, 53 minutes ago, this had no paint on it whatsoever. None at all. Just saying. Something to think about. Yeah, there was, this had been prepped, but not really prepped as you might think, or as you would say. Definitely not quite prepped. Not in the way that I would think of it as being prepped. Let me see if I can start to maybe do a little bit more. I just kind of have to basically paint the detail in on some of this stuff here. And instead of just letting it do its own thing, no, we're going to have to paint some of the detail on this. Which is not unheard of with really old Lord of the Rings minis, that's for sure. Still got to figure out that thing. Am I going to go more with the red over there or not? We'll have to see. That is the nice part, though, about painting the whole figure at once, right? We can make those adjustments a little bit easier to see what kind of adjustments you might want to make. Yeah, this really does need to be solidified over here. And if I need to, I can come back with another semi-pinline wash or whatever for some of the lights back here. I think I might try to solidify that a little more. Maybe I'll even let this wander up a little closer here towards the center of the chest. Okay, this thing here, that element may be... Well, let's just play around here. Let's see how this might work out. Where's my... Look at the asphaltum here. Believe it or not, actually taking some of my green. Do some darker brushing over that. Might try to darken this down, maybe a little more here. Maybe we just go with the... No. I want a little bit of the reddishness there, so the Mars black and the red mixed together. Get right to the edges of that. And if that proves to be not quite what I want, I can make the changes to it still. That's fine. Now, we actually haven't done the lightest of all lights here yet. Haven't even touched any of the fast matte white. That's still sitting over here. Still sitting over here, just waiting for us to do something with it. So There's fast mat weight. Get some of that off of the brush. Just got to break this down here. There we go. Not too much thinner though. Don't want that to turn into a pin line wash. It's not going to work out so well. Where are we at here? Okay, let's try and do this here inside that helmet. Again, the lightest light is what I'm looking for here. Get this all the way down in there. Then it's going to have to come back with the dark around that, I think. Yeah, we'll just have to do that. This can actually be, believe it or not, that can be a little bit lighter there. Thank you so much, Sarge. Oh, Sarge has the Prinkles as well. Look at that. There's Prinkles with all those rocks. Look at that. They're just going to drop right down in there. Thank you so much, Sarge. Appreciate that. How you doing? So, Sarge, is this still a lurking while working? Or did you actually get back to the casa there for some spectacular yummy chow? Hopefully, you're already back there. Not having another late night of working. Because, well, it's, yeah, oh yeah, it's not even 11 here. Now, Sarge, hopefully maybe even also get a chance to maybe mess around with some of your water effects more this weekend coming up. Now, I know you did a couple little tests of it there. Very fun results. I was trying to describe to people. Actually, it was Kathy's mom and sister about the bulletin board cork, or the cork, and how that comes from Portugal, and how they can just kind of harvest that infinite amount of times and not actually mess up the tree. Now, here, let me get the light on the top of that more. The side there. So Sarge, as always, great to see you. Yeah, here, let me get that edge there. Might also do some of the dark stuff. Yeah, we might do that. Come back with some dark there on our metals, I think. Oh, that sounds really good. That sounds very good there, Sarge. And again, thanks so much for being here. So, here, let's throw a little bit more of our light up on top of that. So Grand Oracle is showing a little bit of allegiance to the Gondorians there. There will be some Gondor involved in that if we get to do that test game, because it'll be Rohan and Dol Am. At least that's the idea. Mostly just because we're trying to get as many different armies out there and just kind of at least get a little bit of an idea for the flavor of each one really fast. So this is the Necromancer. This is the old GW metal one. So yeah, we're definitely going to be struggling through with some details that maybe aren't really there. We'll have to paint in a bunch of them. Because what he wanted to do was have, well, basically the Nazgul 9, right? The whole Dol Guldur theme. Also have the Dungeon Master figure 2. So Sarge, great to see you. of course. Let me see. So yeah, I've got to find the. I know he's. I have one here already, but I know I also brought one home from there. So, but who knows? Maybe on the Monday stream or something, I try and get a few figures painted, and maybe he's one of them. Yeah, so he's really huge too. He's on a 40 mil base here. Yeah, he's on a 40 mil base. And he weighs a ton because he's, well, solid metal, of course. So yeah, this was a lot of actually hot glue was used on this one. Tons of hot glue. I even took some bulletin board cork and filled in the gap that's inside here so that the bulletin board cork could be glued to bulletin board cork instead of metal to bulletin board cork, and that seems to actually have held up reasonably well. Grand Oracle, there's been a few that are sort of necromancers. Like Printing Goes Ever On, and maybe even Kurzlik might have done one. They don't look anything quite like this one. Because, well, Printing Goes Ever On, that's how all of his stuff is going to be, right? It's never going to be like the GW stuff. There's definitely a couple of files that are really close to it for sure. That would, I mean, if you just in your game said he's the Necromancer, it would be more than believable enough. So thank you so much, Armored Wolf, for posting the links to the Patreon page and the GoFundMe campaign. Again, the GoFundMe campaign, that's for things like, well, the 14-foot dumpster that we had here today, and that's also the other thing that's supposed to let me do is, well, take the time to, well, fill up that dumpster with all the stuff so that I can try and, again, make the recovery on the house here. So I appreciate everybody that has contributed to the GoFundMe campaign. That's been helping a lot. And again, like I said, today with that dumpster, that's where that stuff is going to, those type of big projects. Things that I just cannot do here just myself anymore without the help of heavy equipment and stuff like that. Hey there, Ryan. How you doing? So Ryan, it's once Armored Wolf is done with all the conventions. So typically, when it's the height of convention season, Armored Wolf is not able to make more of the crushed glass snow effect, which is fantastic. I was going to use it on the latest video, speaking of the Patreon page. I was going to use it on this, but then I thought, no, that we've got some green vegetation. I'll just let that, we'll just do some greenery on that instead of trying to do the snow there. Yeah, Sarge, they definitely won't, well, I don't think they'll ever redo this. They might do a Forge World version of it, maybe. Because they would want to be able to make, well, things like a mounted version, right? That's typically how the plastic sets go. There's a version on foot, there's a version that's mounted. Kind of like your Elrond, your Gandalf, Eowyn, Theoden, that kind of stuff. So Ryan, if you wanted to post any links to some of your oil painted stuff, I know you have a bunch of things that you could post. So let people know what's possible with those oil paints, of course. We love the magic of the oil paints, of course. Here, I'm just going to throw a little bit of this here and let that all just blend very nicely by itself. Now I'm going to go back over here to some of the floral green. Now that's a little bit on the cooler side, not quite as warm as some of the stuff we've been doing over there. That's intentional. I want to have a little variety here, especially on something that's as big as this. We want to make sure we have some. Alright, so there's it's a Discord link. So after Monday's stream, please go check that out. Again, that's from Night Whisper. And then please give Night Whisper a follow if you could. So there you go, Ryan. There you go. So again, Armored Wolf has a Gen Con to do. And once again, if you're going to Gen Con, booth 2707, that's going to be Armored Wolf's booth. Please go there, say hello to Armored Wolf, and then get some of those fabulous dice bags and other stuff there. So Green Fairy Studios, that was one of the other reasons why I did this thing right here, right, to do the different shades of gray, right, warmer grays, cooler grays. And again, I even did a color chart thing with Van Dyke Brown, Indigo, and Mars Black side by side by side. Very different, I'll tell you that. Not the usual type of color chart that we do. But definitely it was a nice way to see a comparison between all of those. So again, anybody headed to Gen Con, please be sure to pay that visit to Armored Wolf Productions, booth 2707. More of our light here. Then it's just going to blend with what's already there. Bingo. Oh, I can maybe go a little lighter here too. Maybe a little more of the radiant green. That will also send this more towards that cooler range. So there's a Facebook link there from Ryan. Again, you want to see some oil painted miniatures. Same thing, Green Fairy, Grand Oracle. You guys want to post some of your oil painted stuff? That would be great. Yeah, I'll lighten this up a little more too. Why not? Again, letting that paint mix with what's on the brush each time. Each one of those strokes, well, what's that going to do? That's going to cause the paint that's on the miniature to mix with what's on the brush. Of course, we can also do the blending brush thing. We do that, well, on every single miniature there. And again, if anybody is interested in the crushed glass, Armor Wolf can do a little update on the Etsy listing, and then after Gen Con, get that stuff, get it sent out. It's really the most amazing material because it doesn't just do the fluffy snow. Everything else you see, all it does is one type of snow. But with the crushed glass, you can do melted snow, really melted snow, heavy piles of snow that are really opaque. It's just very, very flexible stuff, and it's strong. Holy smokes, is that strong? Also, if you want to paint, I don't have those miniatures. They're packed away right now. But if you want to have some blood effects in the snow and actually look like blood sinking down into the snow as it should, you're going to have to use the crushed glass. That is the only way that's going to work for you. More of our, yes, can I continue with that lighter green here? And not too much on our tiles here. And of course, we're only an hour, 14 minutes in. So even it's been just so, everything's been going so fast, there's still not quite enough space here for me to try and do some of the blending brush stuff. We'll still have to do some, have to be patient on that. Let that paint set some more. Again, this is a much more kind of open figure here. It's really as much about getting as many variations as we can on the cloak and such. And I'm going to just have to do a little bit of a lighter edge on that. Again, it's an old metal miniature, so we have to kind of fudge things along just a little bit here to make things, again, somewhat readable and translatable. Let's see if I can't sneak a little, there we go, a little touch of the light in there too. There's just that little bit of the Indian yellow still in this crown slash helmet. Let me see what we're gonna, and believe it, none of this is straight up white. It might look like it on screen, but none of that is actually white at all. I think I can, yeah, oh, yeah, I can catch a little bit more of that out here. Let me see, I don't know, I might let this get a little bit lighter too, maybe. Also a little bit cooler here. I do have to say, this particular, my latest batch of the synthetic liner brushes, those are getting kind of beat up. It's almost about time to retire them from frontline service. It's getting to be about that time. So now, Ryan, do you have any other kind of big overarching projects that you would want to do with the oils now? Or is it going to be kind of a more the lines of the kind of the smaller ones, whatever, kind of lower impact projects? Darken this, but also try it. There we go. Sort of straighten up some of those lines here. What about on the upper part of the helmet there? Can try and sharpen up some of those lines just a wee bit there. I'm also going to try and strengthen some of the lines, I think, here on the tile floor. Let's do that too. Yeah, I know he's kind of a little bit in the way, but won't take very long to do that. Bingo, that really does sharpen all that up nicely. Nah, just gonna do that, and now here, let's strengthen some of our darker edges there. So all the Witcher board game minis, and then onto some zombie side. Well, Ryan, hopefully the oils do what they do best and help you just power right through those, but get the really nifty results, right? And I think, I don't know, maybe that could be an interesting little experiment to, in some cases, with the, oh gosh, the some of the green, let's say radiant green and terra rosa, or some kind of zombie-ish skin tone or something. I'm gonna actually, let me see, I'm gonna make sure we have as much of the paint off of this as possible. I'm gonna try and use this a little bit of blending brush action, just a little bit of tap, tap, tap here, looking to soften some of these brush strokes here a bit. Can only do this a little bit, then we would have to obviously take the paint off of that brush again. Gotta be a very light touch on that brush for sure. Alright, well the buildings just all by themselves, I'm sure that'll be really a fun project and look really spectacular, but painting them with the oils, that's... I mean, we've painted some terrain with the oils and it's made it 1,000 times easier. So where's my... Yeah, both of those buildings painted with the oil paints, with the object source lighting. Boy, did it make those a lot easier. In just every single way. So can't recommend the oils enough for all things, whether they're bigger, smaller. Because remember, on the smaller side of things, the oils, it's much easier to get your brush to be, well, doing small details with it, so it works well on the 6 to 15 mil stuff as well. Yeah, I'm gonna darken that down. Let me see what we can do here with his fingers to sharpen up a couple of those edges. Oh, that needs a blending brush, but one of our micro blending brushes here. I might try to get a little more light down here. Yeah. Same up here. So thank you so much, Armored Wolf, for posting a link to the YouTube channel. Actually, the latest video is kind of a shortened version of this stream right here. So the Count Dooku stream with the 2 light sources, shorten that down to, I think less than 2 hours. So kind of a compressed version of that episode of our Twitch streams. Try and get a couple more little lights down here on the ground. This might need blending brush right there. Yeah. I think some of that's some of my initial lighter colors that I put on there. Now, Guilt Tip, I'm hoping to have a whole bunch of Lord of the Rings figures there, and of course, when it gets to be Fort Wapple after dark, maybe we try and play a little bit of Lord of the Rings, maybe in the somehow in Fort Wapple in those late night hours. Not quite sure how that'd be done, but I do have plenty of mats, and I'll have the terrain with me. Certainly, will have the figures. Also, too, hoping that we'll have some kind of a monitor set up. I'll just bring my cameras and other things, and maybe I can just be doing kind of continuous demos. That's what I really like to do, because, well, then many more people can see those than just the 6 to 10 people in a class. We'll see you later there, Doji. Thanks for being here, and like I said, hopefully you enjoy the Eldfall Chronicles video. More to come, definitely. Yeah, Guilt Tip, I'm really looking forward to see all the people that we haven't been able to see the last couple of years. I won't lighten up that over there. Now, there's some of these little cracks here. I might try to get some light on those. It's a little difficult because the lighter stuff tends to want to also end up being a little thicker as well. But see, just a little bit along that edge. Same over there on that one. And as you can just trying to put a little bit of some kind of cracks in here. This is all broken up. We don't want to paint it like it just came out of Home Depot or something. Hey, there's Cisco. Nice to see ya. Happy Friday morning to you. Hopefully this weekend you have some fun plans. Paint minis, play with minis, do both. That would be great. I'll leave that one darker. Same thing here, because if you do look at our Nazgul 9 here, you can see it's basically a blue-white tile design. Ironically enough, I ended up kind of doing the same thing for my Gondalorians. Oh look, so that's the same tile right there. Now this is the Roman texture roller. It's easy enough to kind of avoid, well, the Roman parts of it. The part where it says SPQR and Pax Romana and the Eagles and stuff, you can kind of avoid those. They tend to just be like in these little strips in between the texture there. So you can kind of avoid that, which is nice. Yeah, these have been using that Roman texture roller for the Gondor folks, and also, well, my Dol Guldur stuff. I think I'll probably stick with that for my Civil War and Arnor figures as well. Where's my, there's, like, gotta get that on top of these. Couple of folds here. This one here. I just couldn't do this before. It was not going to stick there. Patience, don't be hasty, little hobbitses. And Gane, great to see you too. Great to see you there, Ngane. So this is the new video that'll be uploaded to, again, the Patreon page for Friday, right there. That was a color theory and oils video, believe it or not. Differences in the color temperature of grays. So some grays are much cooler grays, like the indigo, much warmer grays, like the Van Dyke Brown, and even the Mars Black is definitely considered a warmer gray, but that's kind of a neutral. So I was trying to, without getting too crazy, you know, Payne's Gray, all that other stuff, just those three, mixing them with Radiance and such to see what could we get in terms of different grays. Hey there, Thranuel. How's about a little dark under some of these? What's happening here? We need a blending brush over here. Ah, well, that's fantastic, Recoil. Okay, this same deal here. Not too much thinner in there, because that'll just end up being a pin line wash. Don't want that. Also need to sculpt with paint here, because that's, oh, there is no line right there. I had to just paint that in. So Recoil, I'm glad that you could do that, because I'm sure that had to be a blast. Where did my brush go? There you are. Still trying to find a little, yeah, a little bit dark under here. Also over here. We took a different approach to our pre-glaze, right? It was more like what we did with all these Banshees over here. We did, what, 4 streams of those? So this is the old, well, I guess it's also the current, the GW Necromancer figure for Lord of the Rings. So it's the official one. Very, 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 very old. My guess would be somewhere in the 2005, I guess, time frame, something like that. I mean, maybe later than that. Hard to tell. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can separate some parts of the fingers here. Once again, having to paint in some things that aren't actually there. So I'm going to do that over here. Yeah, I think that starts to make a little more sense now. What about this stuff? Can I clean this up? Using the perlene black, that's that dark green. I also have the much newer, oh gosh, what is he? The Dungeon Master guy. So that's a Forge World resin miniature. We'll be trying to get that painted up on stream before next week too. I don't know, maybe I'll try and prep a couple of the Bjornings or something. I think I'll try and get, well, speaking of Forge, we'll get that one on a base and ready to go. Maybe we'll paint the dungeon guy and the Bjorn on Saturday or something. See if I can't also darken that up. Then blending brush this way. Yeah, we'll use the dark end of our blending brush there. At some point, someone will make a really nice STL file of this one. At some point, that point is not right now, sadly. Wish that it was. Let me see if I can. I see there's another fold down in there, which I will take this. And we've been using that Prussian green as well for the first time on stream, really. I've done at least one, maybe two tutorial videos with it, just to experiment with it, see what it could do. I don't want to go much lighter than that. Maybe catch a little light under here. Also down in there, that shouldn't quite be that dark. Might even need to thin the paint down a little bit here. Ah, there we go. Yep, just had to thin down the paint a little. So recoil, the folks that would potentially be playing some of the Middle-earth SPG, where they were very excited about that notion of using the rubber mats, not just for roads and rivers, but making the entire a nice little dead marsh board, like we were talking about, painting all of the lights, the candles, and then taking the caulk, going over the top of that, and trying to make it look like it does have a bunch of depth to it. Gonna find a little bit more of my light over here. Ah, there is another area right here because the light sneaks down into there a little bit, like so. And by the way, 2 hours and 51 minutes ago, this big old miniature had no paint on it. Here's a little bit of an idea just how he ain't small. He is not small. In less than 3 hours, he's looking like that. That's what's possible with the oil paints. Using the Marion Street fluorescents. And you can't mix your own fluorescent paint. You just get the fluorescent powders, linseed oil, boom, you got yourself fluorescent paints. I've even taken weathering powders, mixed those with linseed oil, and that's actually made some very interesting opaque earth tones, which is something you don't usually see outside of, say, Terra Rosa and maybe the Van Dyke Brown from Williamsburg. But I say I like that trend. See, there's some areas of warmer green, some areas of cooler green. We gotta make sure we don't lose that effect of the green changing color temperatures. And I showed you the Eldfall Chronicles guy, right? Yes, he had green object source lighting, but very much towards that cooler side. There was no warmth added. That was mostly using Indian yellow, kind of inserting that into the mix. It's also another really translucent color, but really powerful. A very powerful color. I think we're good on that. Go over here. I'm just going to take a little bit of the light here, take that blending brush, and it just gets pushed right up in there. Hashtag no layers. Now I get some of the crazy little weird things on this. I was able to sort of cover those up with the heavy gloss gel. Filled in gaps here with it. And then some of these edges here that were a little bit too ragged and stuff. I just took the heavy gloss gel and sort of painted it over those. Yeah, the Hobbit's almost more like dwarves there, right, Bithron? A little bit tougher. Well, you never know when Elrond comes along for a conversation to make things go away. He's like, dude, that's really harsh. I just got here. It's like, oh, yeah, Gandalf, he said he wanted to have a conversation and make you go away. It's like, Gandalf Schmandalf, he's not going to do nothing. It's like, well, Galadriel might have something to say. She does have that one power to kind of banish you. It's like, oh, thanks for the heads up. Did he really have to tell you that this was coming? It's like, what's in the jug there? Oh, it's the thing that I'm gonna banish you with. Spoiler alert. That's all right. Well, Irid, you have a good one. Thanks for thanks for everyone for everything, and thanks again to all the folks making that hype train possible. So yes, Elrond making a bit of an appearance. Now, I do believe the person that he likes to play, well, obviously this, and of course the Nazgul, right? He likes to play that list. He's never gone up against a Vanquisher list, though, so, well, I can certainly do, well, I don't actually have the Radagast miniature painted, so I guess I need to paint me a Radagast figure. Thank you so much, Denethor. Appreciate that. What comes down to this is, so just how many places are you going to turn green? He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, Minas Ithil used to be really nice. Now it's all green. It's like, that's not me. That's the Witch King. He did that. It's like, well, he's kind of working for you, right? He's, I think he kind of sees himself as an independent contractor. So thanks, Denethor. Appreciate that. So yeah, I somehow there are no Radagast figures. I have one that's assembled. Of course, I would much prefer. I like the old metal Radagast figure that GW did a long time ago. That one was so much niftier than the movie one. Yeah, I like that old one because he had a little bird. There was either a hawk or something like that that was kind of on his arm. I don't know, maybe I can do a little bit of an eBay search or something and see if one of those is around. Because reasons, why not? Boy, so tempted to add more light there, but not gonna do that. Just did this base real quick last night. Bulletin board, cork, the Roman themed texture roller. You just saw that was on the Denethor miniature too. And then lots of hot glue. Just so weird how that went from I never used it at all to I use it all the time now. Well, it works out much better for videos anyways. Because, well, obviously it's not like super glue, or it can take a few minutes for it to really dry and cure. What do we got going on here? Any more down there? Yeah, maybe. Consult the flashlight. Oh, yeah, see how that there's a bit of our green over there. That's why I've been trying to get that down here. Like, so this is obviously this is a bit like our Army of the Dead, right? But I think we have much more temperature changes here. And again, this is 3.5 hours from start to finish here. And no more light down in there, but Indian yellow, floral green, and instead of putting a bunch of thinner on it, I'm just gonna go like this. It's almost gonna be a bit of a drop. And see that? Look at that, sticks just fine. Thanks for doing that. Thanks so much for doing the. Appreciate the clip there, Bithron. I know there's been a lot of them, fast and furious, over the last 15 minutes or so. There, okay, so there's a little bit more of that warmth. I mean, nothing shows it quite like this, right? I mean, that is a big difference. Now, that doesn't only have to be for object source lighting. Look at this temperature difference here. Same thing. See that? That's your phthalo green. This was phthalo green mixed with the indigo, or sorry, with the Prussian blue. Look at that. Yeah, and then here, that's basically some Terra Rosa and Perline black. Kind of a similar thing to what we've been doing here. So as you can see, yeah, object source lighting, but that same color temperature game, you can play that for other stuff too, which is really fun, for sure. So it was a level 6 then, Grant Oracle. Sorry about that. I don't know why I thought it was a level 5 still. But thanks again, Denethor, or sorry, Grant Oracle, Arid, Chris, Nerryfield, everybody tossing those bits in there. Having that little bit of a Bitskrieg. Every day is a great day for a Bitskrieg. Now again, this is almost straight out of the tube right here on this little tiny brush. Yes. And of course, Grand Oracle will try and have the Kathy emote there and make it like a 70k or something like that, because I'm sure maybe Sarge is getting there. I know Armored Wolf, I'm sure, is there. Yeah, Grand Oracle. There was, well, I think I was we were so busy acting out the hype train that I didn't see that it get to the 6. Yeah, Grand Oracle. Then well, we'll have to. Wow. Getting all the way to 100. Well, there's a whole bunch of cast of characters here that would lay claim to that 100k spot. Now, so Bithron, those are your channel points, right? So this is for the oh, it's for the bits thing, because you can have emotes for that. And obviously, I still want to have. Well, speaking of channel points, I do want to have all of the different Kathy miniatures in a gallery somewhere, so that's something that people can bring up and see. get some more of our, get a little more of the yellow in there. So that's just kind of warming that up. What about on this side here? Maybe the same things. We'll throw some more of our yellow right in there. Let that get mixed with what's there. Again, that's you can see. Look at that. See how dark the end of the brush has gotten now. That's the paint that's already there. That's mixing into the brush. Let's see. Let me throw a little bit more of my light right here on this part of that fold. Where's my blending brush? There you are. That's more like it. Not gonna do well. If I do something lighter there, I'm gonna switch the color. I'm gonna go something here a little bit more towards the cool side of things. That's the radiant green mixed with, there we go. So that's a much cooler green. Radiant green mixed with the Prussian green. So a cooler green. It's still lighter, but the tone of it, more of a cool tone. I was sorry that, boy oh boy, I'm trying to think, outside of the Vallejo, whatchamacallit, the texture paste, but just, we didn't use a lot of Vallejo stuff. Sorry that something just snapped on you there. That's kind of a weird thing to happen, that's for sure. Now again, I haven't used, it's been many years since I last used any Vallejo paints. Probably 2014, 2015-ish, something like that. Which initially doesn't seem like very long ago, and then you realize, oh yeah, that's a bit longer ago. I'll do this. So again, that's not just a little bit lighter, but that has some cooler colors in it. Not anywhere near as warm as this. That's also something that if I had tried to do that, say, an hour ago, might not have stuck quite so well. It's really easy right now. Also, too, not a ton of thinner on the brush either. Alright, that's a little raggedy there, so we're going to take Mr. Blending Brush to that. It's right up here. We're not trying to smear it like this. We're doing this straight up and down. A little tap, tap, tap with the brush. Here again, I see brush strokes. It's not I see dead people, I see brush strokes. I'm going to do this little tap, 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 and well, then they go away. Going all the way here. Again, a little bit of tap, 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 like so. Same over here. Again, a little bit of tap, tap, tap. Like that. Don't want to get too much more of the really light color down on the ground here. So a little bit over there. Take off some of that edge. So there's an Instagram there from Rio Brush Guy. Everybody please check that out. And again, of course, please give Rio Brush Guy a follow too on the Instas. Now, actually, hey, well, Brush Guy, were you one to do a, get back into your streaming thing? I know if you haven't painted in a month. Nearly failed, I guess 3 taps and the ghosts are gone, right? That's it. 3 taps, poof, no more ghosties. That's it. Well, at least, well, the Necromancer there, Sauron doesn't hope that's all it takes. Because otherwise, Galadriel won't be the only one being able to banish him there. So everybody please check out the link that Space Toy posted. Now this is some fast matte white here, nothing else. This is basically as light as this can possibly get. Can't go any lighter than this. There is again a little bit of the fluorescent underneath there. What you could also do is you let all this dry, and then you could do some glazy things with the very, very, very translucent fluorescence over the top of that. That's a little bit of a modified scale 75 sculpt there. And again, everybody please check out the Instagram links there by Space Toy and by Rio Brush Guy. Check those out, say lots of nice things. Again, this is a beat up ancient metal sculpt, so especially all of this stuff here and then the, well, hands. Let's just say that we've had to do some sculpting with our brush. That's what I call it there. A little bit of brush sculpting. Well, and actually, Chris, that might also happen on some of those really old lead figures. Maybe a little bit of detail gets sculpted in via the brush that maybe is not quite there in the sculpting or the casting. So Bithron has checked that out. And again, everybody please be like Bithron and go check out those fantastic miniatures painted by Real Brush Guy and Space Toy. Last couple little bits of light here on our hands, which again I thought were armor, but the more I see this, they kind of look more like skeleton claw things. I know that's not the most detailed description, but that's about the best I can come up with there. Now, what do we got here? A little bit more of our, yeah, right along this edge here. Okay, this is another place where, woof. Well, also, too, the way this was assembled was not, and I didn't actually put that together. Oh, there we go. A couple of sharper lines here. That's how technical and precise we are here, right, Bithron? That's the new, precise, scientific, technical term for that. We come up with lots of those here, don't we? But looking there, right at the edge of this, that side too. Can't really do much more. I was going to try and get some darker greens in there, but that's just not, well, the sculpting slash casting there is just not tight enough. Yeah, Bithron, that's a, I don't know if any of us could pass that exam. Right, there's a little, not quite enough precision there. Now I'm going to leave that alone. This, though, use this teensy bit of light, and that was all just dark. Now that is too much stark light. Is what we're going to do is Mr. Blending Brush comes out and tones all that down. Same here. This too is a little too stark of a transition. We're just going to take some of the edge off of that. Same up here. Let me, ooh, okay, I got a whole bunch of light on the bread. We're going to change direction here to the Indian yellow, some of the perline black here. On the top edge of this to there we go. Now we've got a tighter edge there. A little less round. This thing to some of our darker green with some of the Indian yellow inside. Yeah. Now, and if you remember, we did it was a very different type of pre-glaze, right? We kind of didn't do much in here. We left all the darker stuff out here, wiped it away, and then all the interior glow, we took our lighter colors, threw those in there, even though it was the pre-glaze time, right? The pre-glaze takes a lot of different forms. It's not the same thing every time. It's going to be situational. Depends on what we're doing. Where's my... So radiant green, and then I'm going to get me some of the Indian yellow again here. No fluorescent green in there. That's actually got a little bit of a... That's a little bit potent right there too. There's that warmer green. We kind of lost a little sight of that here. Got a little bit on the cooler side. Wanted the cooler stuff, especially around the peripheries there. Now, since I did not use phthalo green, this should not be too shiny when that dried. Now, the other one that I used on, I think it was, speaking of scale, no, it was Loot Studios. It was a 75 mil. I think that was the first time I tried the Prussian green, and again, it was, that's where we saw it as no staining power whatsoever. But here, mixing it with the perylene black, it seemed to be nice, even though it doesn't have a staining power if you don't wipe too much of it away. It can have a little bit of an influence over those lighter colors, which again, we dry brush on there with our filbert brushes. So we didn't do that much of it this time around. Minimal filbert action. That goes that way sometimes. So again, I want that to be the cooler green down there. Also there. Back to that. The radiant green. And the Prussian green. Maybe these folds right here. Well, you can look at that. See how there's all that warm stuff there, and then this is much of a cooler color here. So Bithron, well, I'm sure there's got to be a decent Google reference somewhere of just what the regular Canadian, backpacks would look like. Back over here again. Again, you can see that's a cooler green, but then look at that. See how it transitions into the warmer greens. Look at that. Back this way again. Cooler greens. Temperature contrast, right? Everybody always talks about value contrast. There's so much more than just that. There's temperature contrast, saturation contrast, even edge contrast, like here, right? Sharper edges around this, softer edges here where you got the cloth. So it's so many different types of contrast out there. I know that people, they'll ask judges after a competition or something like that, so what do I need to do to improve? And they always just say boost the contrast. Then you can say, well, which type? Is it, do I need more warm versus cool? Do I need more saturated versus unsaturated? Because we have that here, right? Highly saturated colors. There's desaturated stuff down here. So a little bit of a 1/144 scale. A little Star Wars Y-Wing there from Bandai. Check out, again, Brush Guys, link there on the Instagrams. Thanks so much, Space to... Oh, you know what we have not done? How's about we try one of these? We'll get a little closer, and then we'll do that. So since the value range is mostly in the greens, he still shows a decent amount of object source lighting there, right? Here, it almost doesn't look like there's very much, right? How's about we bring back that color from our gratuitous film noir there. All of a sudden a much cooler green. right? That's your phthalo green here, much warmer, but then also even dingier.